Hello and welcome to Message to the Masses with Tesa. I am your host and publishing consultant, Tesa Colvin, and we're here for the leaders, the speakers, the entrepreneurs, those who are using their books to facilitate a movement. But we're not just talking about books. We're digging into the heart behind your big why for sharing your powerful story and getting that message to the masses. And today we have Beverly Walthour, author extraordinaire and coach, business owner, just so many different things that we could say about you. I thank you so much for joining us today, and I can't wait for us to kind of dig into and share a little bit about what you have going on.
Thank you for having me, Tessa.
So let's just get right into it.
Okay.
Tell us about you. Who is Beverly Walthour?
Okay, as you stated, I am a coach, author, speaker, educator. I'll always be a teacher. Like that, I'm not going to be able to shake that title. So teacher, consultant, all that good stuff.
All that good stuff.
Yes. Connoisseur of good food. All that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right now. Now you're speaking my language. You had me at connoisseur of good food.
Yes.
So you said speaker, you said author. Tell me a little bit about your message. What's the message that you are sharing in these different ways?
I think the overall arching message that I have is it's possible. So, when you're able to create impact and when you're able to impact others, then whatever you desire, whatever it is that you want, it's possible for you to have. And that's, to me, the biggest message, and being able to show others the possibilities. So it doesn't matter if it's a woman, a mom, or a young child. Because once again, my background was in education, so I was showing kids the possibilities. Before I said, well, let me shift from the kids to the mamas. So yes,
right. You grew. It's okay.
I did, just a little.
So you mentioned being a teacher.
Yes.
We said author. How did your business owner, how did you make that's a little different. People see that as different, going from business owner and mentor to author. Like how many books do you have?
I have been a part of 3 anthologies. So an anthology is just, you have a chapter in a book. So I've done 3 of those, and then I'm in the process of writing my own book. So, yes. So, and you just said that it's kind of a stretch, but I don't see it as a stretch, especially as an entrepreneur. And one of the biggest stories I would tell myself is I don't have a story. Nobody wants to listen to Bev. I don't have anything to say. And so that was a story. It's not true. Right. And so just for me to know that being a part of a book, being a part of an anthology, that that vibe, being able to have that opportunity where yes, the people that know Bev can purchase the book, but then also the people that know all the other authors were able to purchase the book and not just read their stories, but read my story as well. And so just knowing that there is something, I do have something to say, and it's a powerful message.
And you know what? I like that. I want to stop right there because. Fiction can be fun, but then there's the fiction that will cause you to fail. And you were telling yourself something that was fictional. Yes. I don't have a story. We all have a story. We are stories, walking stories, right? And so your journey as an entrepreneur, as a teacher, that alone, I'm sure you could, if we had enough time, I'm sure you could tell us some stories about teaching.
I just need to write a book about that. We would say that all the time, take the videotape, just write a story. It would be some amazing things you guys wouldn't understand, especially in the middle school.
See? And so that right there, just right, you saw it here first.
Yes.
That might be another book on down the line. So what was the inspiration? You said you're now writing a book, kind of a solo, huh?
Yes.
What's the inspiration? What made you, what was that said, I do have a story and I need to tell it?
It was a couple of things. For me, I always knew I was going to write a book. Like my next book, I don't know if I should say the title of this book that I just know I'm not going to say the title because I don't want anyone to take the title. But there is this book that I kept saying I was going to write. Like I'm going to write this book. And actually the opportunity, and it's amazing. Social media is amazing.
It is.
So one day I was in someone's Facebook group, just doing a scroll. You know how you do that scroll. And I saw a post, and the post was just like, hey, we're looking for authors in this anthology. So I had to go look up anthology. I didn't know what that meant. Had to go look that up, Google that real quick. And so I looked that up, and I'm like, okay, well, because I'm not quite ready to write a whole story, but writing a chapter, I can do that. And so, you know, when they said the background about the book and, you know, what was it about, I'm like, oh, okay, faith. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do that. And so that was how the first one kind of, it birthed out of me just saying that I wanted to write a book. I knew I always wanted to write one.
Right.
And so, you know, when that particular opportunity came where I can kind of like dip my big toe into it, I was like, let me try that. Yeah, I'm not gonna dive in, yes, but I could dip my big, yes, I dipped my toe in it, and I'm like, this was awesome. So it was an awesome experience to be a part of that book. And then the second one came along where it was, well, hey, we're going to do a part 2, a volume 2.
Okay.
Do you want to be a part? Well, yes, I do. And then
so now you got 2 toes.
Yeah, two, the right toe and the left toe, both of them are now in the water. And then the third one came along. Okay. And, you know, that allowed me to hit the bestseller status. And I'm like, whoa.
Wow.
And then it was like, I felt like God was like, okay, Bev, you know, you're done dipping. You know, you sat on the edge of the pool for this long. Now it's time for you to take that plunge.
Okay. So
yes,
I want you to tell us how you made that shift from the 2 toes in the water to saying, okay, now is the time. And we'll dive into that right after this quick break.
Okay.
We are back. It is Message to the Masses with Tesa, and we have Beverly here. She's about to tell us. She's about to tell us how she went from having 2 toes dipped in to deciding it was time to dive in and do her own solo book. So, how did you decide?
It wasn't me. You know, it was not me. I felt like it was a God thing. Like, once again, I had done the other 3. I had done 3 anthologies. So once again, you know, you get a chapter to tell your story, but it was like, okay, Bev, now it's time for you to get your message out there. And so that's what it was. It was.
And did you take that and say, okay, now I'm ready?
No.
You said that so quick.
I'm going to be honest. It wasn't that. So when that idea popped in my head that it was time for my own, I'm like, okay, God, and you know, wrote it down in my journal, and I'm going to keep it moving. And then one day I get a message in my messenger and was like, hey, Bev, you know, are you ready to write your book? I don't know what you're talking about. But no, and actually I had already, like, I had put out seeds on social media, like, you know, oh, you know, I know I'm going to write a book. I know I'm going to write a book. And so when I got that message, I was like, okay, God, you know, and so got the message, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this.
So it went from being a gentle nudge to a pushing you on off the diving board. Yes,
like it was in your face, like, you know, and you know, they saw that I read the message, so I couldn't ignore it, like I didn't see it. So yeah, so that's kind of how that came about.
That's funny. So I'm laughing at you because, you know, you want to be like, I didn't see that.
I didn't, but yeah,
that didn't happen to me. So now it's you.
Yes,
it's the Bev show.
Yes,
you know, when it comes to the book. Now, we've already talked about kind of the message that you bring to people when you're teaching, when you're coaching, when you are doing all of these other things like speaking. What is the message that now you're pouring into your book?
For me, the book was really and truly a way for me to because my niche, the people that I serve in my business are Christian female coaches. And so they're service-based. And so I wanted them to see, especially as a female entrepreneur that is faith-based. There are books out there that are written by men, and I'm not knocking the man, but it's the way that we do business is a little different as a female. And so I wanted them to know and to see that you can have a successful business and still be true to your faith. And so it's just about how to stand on scripture, because being an entrepreneur is not an easy journey, and if anyone tells you that, they are lying. So For me, it was just, there are days where it's just nothing but me and my faith that's allowing me to get out of the bed and to turn that computer on, So for me, it's letting them know that first and foremost, I see you. I know what it's like to, when you feel like everything is going against you, that it's not true. And so just to be able to have this book out there to let them know that there are things that you can do, that when you start to feel that resistance or when you start to doubt your calling, that there are things that you could do to kind of get you back to remember that, hey, it's not about you. It's a bigger purpose. It's a bigger reason that you're doing this, and to stay the course.
So to be clear, it's not a how to build a business. It's a how to build a business owner.
Correct. Yes.
So we're laughing, but that's really needed because a lot of people think, it's a shiny thing and you own a business and you live with your laptop and I know what bootstrapping is. You don't learn what bootstrapping is until you own a business.
Yes.
And you this is for the birds.
Yes.
And you have those moments, though. It will throw you into a crisis of faith.
It will. And that's the thing. And it's a matter of when that, like I said, when that resistance comes up, what do you do? Because I tell people all the time, fear is there. The doubt is going to come up. We've all had that talk in our head, that negative self-talk. Who are you? What do you, who do you think you are? You can't do this. And, all of those things, just the voice reminding you of things that may have happened.
Right.
And so it's like when that stuff does happen, how do you respond? The way you respond to it is going to be key.
Right.
And so for me, I want them, as they're reading the book, to literally hear the little Bev in their head, when that negativity pops up or when that self-doubt pops up. Okay, I remember Bev said, you know what I'm saying? And so that type of thing. And that's what the book is all about, really and truly, when you get, not if you get into that space, but when you get into that space of doubt and fear and worry, that there's a way out. And so that's what I want them to glean and get from the book, that you don't have to stay in that space unless you choose, because it's a choice, unless you choose to. So it's all about how you respond to it.
So you want them to walk away with the power to respond instead of react, because that's two different things.
Correct. And not only just respond, but then take action. Because, I can say one thing, but if I don't put, we know faith without works is dead. So if I don't put the action behind it, then what was the point of it? So the book is just, hey, what do you do when this happens? Okay, this has happened. What can we stand on? What do we know as our truth when these things do pop up and when these things do occur? And then now get your behind out there and do it. So yes.
That was bossy, Beverly. Wait a minute.
That was the action. Take the action. So yes.
Okay. And you know what? That's very powerful. Like I said before, it's not so much how to build a business as much as it is how to build a business owner. And that's important because you become this machine behind your business when you're the term I don't like to use often, but solopreneur. You're this machine. You are customer service, you are the production team, you are marketing, you are everything, and you got to deliver the goods. There can be those moments when you're doing all of those things and wearing all of those hats and you forget to be you.
Correct.
And you forget to take care of you.
Correct.
Do you talk about taking care of you?
It's that, and it's a word that people use all the time that I cannot stand, because when you get into that space where you're doing everything, you start to grind and hustle and team no sleep and all. I like my sleep. I take a nap 2-3 times a day. So I'm not about that grinding and everything. And so because you can't sustain that.
Right.
And so when you are trying to do all those things and wear all those hats all the time, where you feel like I have to be doing something in my business 24/7, you end up burning out.
Right.
And so even pieces of the book, just letting them know, take that step back and really and truly realize that, you can have this successful business without you having to do all of that. And so does it require you getting some support? Yes. But once again, when you do that, the end of it, you realize that, oh my gosh, it was definitely worth it. I don't have to, like I said, grind and hustle and all that stuff 24/7.
Well, I'm not a fan of grind and hustle. I don't use those terms because the reality is, as a words girl, as I call it, those sound like they hurt. And so I think about grinding bones and things like that. That doesn't sound comfortable.
No.
But I that's a very good way for us to kind of lead into my next question. I'm excited about it.
Yes.
But I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
And when we come back, what I want you to do is to tell us what to do instead. Like,
Okay.
what's a tip on how to avoid hustle and grind
Yes.
and still reach your goals?
Okay.
And we'll talk about that as soon as we come back from this short break. We are back. Message to the masses with Tesa, and Beverly is about to just clarify some things for us.
Okay.
Now, we've already talked about the fact that hustle and grind, that's really not our style of building a business, and it's not something that we teach people. For me, being a words girl, hustle and grind sounds like it's painful. And Bev, you just already said team no sleep. That's just not for you.
No, I get my sleep.
Get your naps. See, so now here's a business builder. Here's an owner of a business who takes naps.
Yes.
So I'm just saying, you don't have to be team no sleep if you don't want to.
Correct.
But give us a sneak peek on one of the tips that you are sharing about being a human being who's trying to build a business, because you're building a business owner, not a business in this book.
Correct.
You're helping people.
Correct. And so I think it's a couple of things. I don't know, you said one tip. I'm going to try to, I can't do one.
Okay. Give us what you got.
But it's really and truly, when you're building yourself as an entrepreneur, it's some mindset things. And you really and truly, if you have a goal that you want to accomplish, that you want to achieve, then for me, I had to get laser focused. And so once I got laser focused, and sometimes you feel like, okay, I'm laser focused, I'm going to end up grinding and hustling. It was actually the complete opposite of that. I started to get into an ease and flow because it was like, okay, this is what I desire. This is what I want to do. And so once I got laser focused, everything else, I kind of pushed it to the side. And so it was, if it did not help me reach my goal, it's not the season for me. And so that meant me telling people no, saying no to certain things, but also saying yes to certain things as well, as long as it took me toward my goal. And so I think that was one of the biggest things for me, was really and truly, to get into that ease and into that flow and to start to build the type of business that I desired. And the same thing, like I said, pointing it out in the book as well. It's just a matter of, okay, this is what I want. This is what I desire. This is the game plan that I have. And, let's go for it. But also, like you said, being human, knowing when to pivot, because you do have to pivot sometimes, because once you look at that, like, oh, that's not going to work the way that I thought it was going to, being okay with making the pivot. And so those are just a couple of things for me, getting laser focused and then having the flexibility to pivot is key. And then, like I said, having boundaries as well.
Look, no is a amazing self-care tactic.
Yes. And I think because, I have an online business and the internet is 24/7. And if you're not careful, you could literally be tied to your computer 24/7 if you allow it. And so for me, it was a matter of setting business hours. Like I have business hours. And so it can be very tempting when a message pops up at 10:30 to want to respond to it. Just let me just quickly tell this person. But no, like it's a part of the boundaries. And once again, going back to just ensuring that you are building yourself as a business owner. Because once again, if it was a brick and mortar store, if the sign is closed, if it's turned to close, it's closed. I can knock as much as I want to on the door, but no one's going to come and open it. And so the same thing, just having those boundaries as well, that helps. It helped me to help establish myself as a business owner.
That's very important. So as an entrepreneur who is now trying to help entrepreneurs through your work and your messaging and your speaking and your books with an S.
Yes.
What is something, a scripture, a quote, a saying, an affirmation, something that you use to kind of recenter you? Share it with us. Maybe, I'm sure it'll help me. I'm sure it'll help the viewers. What's that snapback that you use?
Yes. As you decide, because I always say this, what you do in your business to generate 3 figures and 4 figures, you can't do the same thing when you want to generate 6, 7 figures in your business. And the thing is, getting outside your comfort zone is huge. And so I'm such a huge advocate of, what did you do today that pushed pushed you outside your comfort zone. And because once you decide to get outside your comfort zone, fear is going to pop up.
Yes, it will.
So that's the scripture, you know, for God has not given me a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind.
Yes.
So I know for me, when I'm getting outside my comfort zone and that fear pops up, I'm like, okay, how am I going to respond to this? And I know it's not from God. So me really and truly making sure that I push through it versus, you know, succumbing to that and saying, okay, well, maybe I won't do it because maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I'm not prepared. What if I do this and it doesn't work? So instead of me giving into that fear and doubt, I push through it. And
so how do you push through but not slip into grinding?
Yes. So for me, you know, the way that I push through, it goes back to standing on my truth and that firm foundation and going back to, is this going to help me reach my goal? And if the answer is yes, then I go ahead and I do it. But, you know, even that grind, that whole grinding thing for me, you know, once I know what it is that I desire to do, because of the ease and flow, because I know that it's a part of my purpose, it doesn't, I'm not grinding, I'm not hustling. It's just, it's a part of the journey and it feels easy. And when I say easy in the sense of, you know, the fear is not there, the doubt is not there. Is it stretching me? Is it pulling me? Yes, it is. But, you know, it's not harming me. I'm not doing physical harm to my body, you know, mentally or physically or anything like that. So yes.
So let me ask you this. What can be expected of you after this? So you've got the books, you're speaking, you're mentoring, you're teaching. What else can we expect?
Yes. So
what is that like?
Yeah, because and it's funny because a lot of the women that I serve in my business, their coaching business is the stepping stone to something else. And so even for me, like I've seen the transition. Like I spent the first part of my adult life as an educator, so working with kids, and then I transitioned to now I'm working with and supporting adults. But to the core of me, I always say that I'm still an educator at heart. And so part of this journey is me really and truly using this as a stepping stone because I desire to get entrepreneurial courses in K through 12 classrooms because I want students to know that there's another possibility out there. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with you after high school going into the military. There is nothing wrong with you going to college. There is nothing wrong with you going straight into the workforce, but there is another option there. You can be an entrepreneur.
There's possibilities.
Yes.
So with that, how can people find you?
Yes, so I am all over, but in a good way. So you can find me online. My website is www.beverlywalthour.com. On social media, all the social media platforms, minus Snapchat. I'm not on Snapchat, but all the rest of them, I think I'm too old for Snapchat. But all the rest of them, it is Beverly Walthour. So I keep it plain and simple, Beverly Walthour. Just Google Beverly Walthour and you will find me.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today.
You're
we
welcome.
really appreciate you.
Thank you.
And I also want to thank you, the viewers. And remember, your skills, your story, your experience, they are fuel for someone. Someone out there is looking for the information that you have so that you can help them build a better business, career, life, relationships, and so much more. And it starts when you get that book done. Until next time.